We have this.
Greetings, everyone. Why not start before the countdown is over, right? I am Lotus Knight. I am one of your hosts for tonight, bringing you Hearthcenter with what I consider to be the best cast THL has to offer. We have on our top left corner Corridon, who's been here ever since. He was here a lot last 2 seasons. Now going to be here every single week, I hope, and just bringing you some of the hottest action from all THL series. His favorite card, and yes, I am back to doing favorite cards. His favorite card is Lightning Blue.
Yeah, okay, I give you that. I enjoy Lightning Bloom. It's definitely it's up there. You know, it allows some crazy shenanigans in both Druid and Shaman. So I'll give you that one, Lotus. That's a good point.
Sure, it's one of those cards just to create crazy scenes. How are you doing though? Are you excited for tonight?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back. You know, we've had a quick, I guess, I don't know, off season. It doesn't feel like we've been gone for as long as we have been, but
right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think, but I'm excited for the new season of HC. I'm excited for Hearthstone to come back. You know, we've got some of the largest conferences I think I've seen since I've been a part of THL,
Yeah.
which is, you know, Team Hearth League, by the way.
True. We have evolved.
We have. It's come a long way, and I'm really excited to see where things take off. This is going to be a great season, I think.
That is true. That's true. Our next person here to the top right this time, we have our stream operator and amazing caster for Saturday nights. We have the one and only Wild9. Right before the stream, he did tell me his favorite card was Libram of Wisdom.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know. I it's hard to pick a card, but I for some reason I just like broken cards. So like toxic
Fair.
cards.
Fair.
like pre-nerf Undertaker, like old school.
Sure.
Just
sure.
high win rate cards.
Just mana worm on one and high roll from there.
Exactly. Just becomes a 7/8 by turn 7, right?
Yeah. Good times. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing tonight? Are you excited?
Yeah, excited that this is the first week of the season. Excited to I'm competing in Hero this season for the first time after a couple seasons of a break. So just looking forward to getting games in and all that.
Nice. That's awesome. Last but not least here, directly from Australia, we have the one and only recent THL daddy, Bone Master. Bone Master, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thanks, Lotus. How you going?
I'm doing great. So I might have heard this wrong, but I believe someone told me your favorite Hearthstone card is Survival of the Fittest.
Oh, well, yeah. The secret's out there. Anything that can buff your whole board and your whole deck in one go to scam out some really big lethals, some really big minions. That's definitely got to be one of my favorite cards. Spot on.
Nice. Good. Like well, we have a lot of show prepared for tonight. We're going to start by reviewing Maniac Mondays, and then we'll go over all series, what happened last season, and talk quickly about the teams. We won't go into detail who's in each team because I kind of want to get some sleep before I need to go to work tomorrow. So that's the way we at least make sure I was going to say 8 hours, but everyone knows I'm not getting 8 hours. Let's say 6 hours of sleep by then. So, are you all ready to hop into Maniac Mondays?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So, Maniac Mondays, yesterday, we had our first Maniac Mondays of the season, and we had Molestar winning against Bandit Keith, who did not bring mech decks and lost in the finals, but a really good match and a really sweet deck from Molestar, bringing his Fel DH with tokens. Really just all around amazing deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Molstar definitely brought a an interesting lineup to say the least. I know the Garrote Rogue, as aforementioned, it's pretty much standard in everybody's lineup right now. But hitting with the Mozaki Mage as well as this, kind of a fell DH, but has an OTK package in there, and OTK without Il'gynoth. Who'd ever thought we'd live to see the day?
Yeah, I think at the tournament in general, there's just a lot of OTK decks, and so it's interesting to see different people's lineups and the way they kind of approach the meta. Where it feels like aggro is kind of falling off, that there's a lot of weapons to deal with board-based strategies, and a lot of people going for more OTK style combo decks.
It'll be interesting to see if this carries over into how people are planning for this weekend. Seeing a lot of OTK decks out there and aggro falling off a little bit. Be interesting to see if people try and set up for that, and maybe the old switcheroo happens and face decks can sneak through a few wins for people.
That's true. We always have the triangle of control, aggro, and combo. And right now, there was a ton of combo on Maniac Mondays, but there was also some anti-combo with Glide. Glide is kind of the best anti-combo card somehow. And there are a few others that we did see in the tournament, so I'm curious if those will happen.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more people are, there's always the Mutanus, however you choose to pronounce, coming into play right now to hit key cards out of people's hands, whether that be, if you're a mage, a Mozaki, if you're sitting on the Demon Hunter, if it's a Jace. There's so many key cards that are being run, especially if you're a Warlock, you can't have that owl get eaten, or really that's the whole game plan. So, a lot of combo disruption, Alucia rolling in her grave at the moment, missing out on all this fun.
Right? If Alucia was still around, well, we would still have Aggro Priest Tier 1, but that's a different story. Shall we hop into Hero Series now that we've gone over a bit of Maniac Mondays?
Sure, let's do it.
Awesome. So, Hero Series, I'm going to call our hero specialist tonight, Korodin, to tell us about what were the hero playoffs, especially the finals last season, and what were the awards that people got for Hero Series.
Yeah, so the finals, Hero was pretty crazy. The finals, if I'm not mistaken, we know Skirt was in there. Even without Turt, we must Skirt, and it was the graphic always confuses me. It was an F2L final, correct?
Yes, it was F2L.
Yes, yeah. So, it was an F2L, even without Turt, we must Skirt, with Turt getting off and being the champion of the series of season 16. Best new team at Diamond, with, the caveat of only needing 3 new players, I believe, to be considered a new team. So at Diamond taking home that award. Best captain, Ree Bobson, for F2L. To have an amazing season, taking them all the way to the finals. Rookie of the season, I don't think to anybody's surprise, NJO, Nice Jewish Owl, had a fantastic season for himself. And speaking of fantastic seasons, MVP of the entire Hero series, Agent PWE. What an insane season Agent had, not only in Hero, but across the board. Throughout every single series. And as I said earlier, last but definitely not least, even without Turt, we still must Skirt. That will be your season 16 Heroes champions.
So I want to ask Bone Masher, any thoughts on last season of Hero? What do you think of these teams, these winners? What was your experience?
I thought last season of Hero was pretty close for a while. I think the top 4 teams were really stood out from the rest of the competition, which showed when you got to the end of the playoffs. The 3rd and 4th team got through quite well, and then it can really come down to 4 teams. And I'm really excited to see how that backs up this season. I know majority of those teams have stayed together, so I'm expecting those teams to really do well again. Having said that, you do have that PR cap, Some teams have had to make some changes there where they've gone over the PR cap. Will that weaken them? Are there any new teams that are coming in that have been able to be put together that can really challenge those top teams?
Mm-hmm. Wild Nine, any thoughts on Hero Series last season?
Yeah, I was thinking somewhat similarly to what Bone Masher was thinking. Like, I think what's cool about Heroes that's been smaller, like the smaller series compared to Legacy, right? And so it's kind of nice that you get a little more consistency in the teams. You don't have quite as much turnover, at least not from last year to this year, I feel like. And so I think that's the thing that jumps out at me as well, is just, with a few of the replacements, especially some of these top teams having to, go over the PR cap and making some changes, like how those changes will affect the teams, whether they'll still be just as successful. Now some seeds are playing in higher seeds too. Like, so some of them are,
Mm-hmm.
graduated up, so to speak. So will they still be as successful as they were last season? I feel like those are some of the storylines that I'm definitely looking forward to.
That's true. Now, let's move to talk about this season. We're not going to say who's in each team because that would take a long time. But Bone Masher, do you want to read off the teams participating in Teal Conference this season?
Yeah. So Teal Conference. Yeah, so we've got APM Yang, Booty Bay Yacht Club, Haughty on Main, Korak City, make a 5 seed out of a mole hole, No Pros here, and The Unknown are our Teal
Mm-hmm.
teams.
And Wild Nine, do you want to tell us who are our purple teams who are in the other conference?
Sure. We've got at Diamond, APM Yin, Dad Legend, F2L Black, Golden Wisps, and LeBran, and Team at Any Cost.
Some interesting teams here. I think I can see a few returning teams. I don't think Golden was in Hero though. It's interesting that
No.
they're branching out.
Yeah, Golden Wisp was everybody's favorite legacy team, I think, going into playoffs. And not the exact makeup that they had in Legacy, but I mean scraping the top of the PR cap with an 1835. And with a lot of names we've seen kicking around here, Always Lethal, Mick, and MPV, Aquaman is a name that is synonymous with the top of the leaderboard
Yes.
in High Legend, but hasn't had much of a THL presence. I know just recently getting in and playing some Maniac Mondays. So I'm really interested to see how they transfer over from their legacy success into Hero.
That's true. So I want to ask you, Corden, who are your picks for a strong team for Hero Series and a sleeper team that you think that people aren't really looking?
I can't pick myself, can I?
I mean, you can, but please don't.
I'm gonna stare away from the classic pick Dad Legend because I'm on Dad Legend.
Fair.
Truly, I think as strangely under PR'd as they may be, I think F2L looks ever so powerful. I think they're just underpowered because Shu in the 4 out of 189 is truly a sight to behold. Neji, Itachi, Rebob right off the top. I mean, those guys are all 1 seed worthy. So, Rebob usually getting the benefit and playing in a 3 seed. I actually have Rebob in Hero this week for the starting, and we all know what Fish did in Hero last season, so I'm really excited to see what they can do as a powerhouse. And honestly, I think a sleeper, I'm going to go back to the Golden Wisps. I think Aquaman's going to be a great addition to
Okay.
that team. I know, MPV had a fantastic season. Mick is a really strong player and always lethal always finds lethal. Does a really good job. Lupin, I'm not 100% on. I don't know a ton, but I think Golden Wisp might be a sleeper team. People might not look at them and see as strong as they can be.
Fair. I do want to ask chat as well. If you want to comment on what you think is a strong and a sleeper team, please go ahead. We'll have a nice debate here. I do want to invite Wild Nine to tell us his pick for a hero strong and a hero sleeper team.
Yeah, I was thinking like it depends on how you define sleeper, right? Because I also kind of
Sure.
think like when I'm looking at just what the strongest teams are, I kind of put Golden Wisp in that category of at least having a discussion there. I know that on the podcast they were saying like LeBrand, I think all three, Fish, Bone Masher, and Geranium Battle all picked LeBrand as one of the strongest team. I do think I do kind of concur. They are definitely very strong. One thing to notice, I feel like when you're in the preseason looking at teams, you're just kind of there's always question marks. Like every team has a few question marks. They're
Yeah.
kind of unknowns, and you don't know how it'll play out. I do think LeBron is one of the teams that I feel like has very few question marks. Probably the least out of all these teams. I think the biggest one is that I do think that the purple side of this conference is a little bit tougher, but maybe not by that much. I think there's some good teams in Teal as well, but I do think they're one of the strongest teams. If I had to pick a sleeper, again, maybe it depends on how you define sleeper because I think it's
Fair.
interesting. Like make a 5C out of a molehold. Like obviously, I don't know if you can say they're a sleeper since obviously they did really well last season. But replacing Molestar is obviously a huge challenge. And I know
Yes.
that when people were talking about the strongest teams, they were kind of left out of that conversation. They're kind of like in the middle of the pack, so to speak. But I do think that I wouldn't be surprised to see them, in semifinals or finals, like coming out of the Teal conference. I do think they're still very strong. I do think, like based on performances last season, that these everyone coming back, I think that's huge. And I actually think a lot of team chemistry too is like something that's kind
Yeah.
of underrated. And so, like when you have four people who are all coming back, I think that's gonna help a lot. So I don't know. Like I don't know. It depends on how you define a sleeper, right? But but I don't know. I just
Fair.
haven't heard a lot of people talk about them. Maybe because Molestar is no longer on that team.
I mean, losing Molestar is pretty major, but it's definitely still a good team and a team to keep an eye out. Bone Masher, I know you already gave your insights in the podcast, but maybe you have some special insights you want to give here for Hero.
Yeah, I think one of the teams that I really liked in the podcast, maybe a little bit more than the other two that I had as a really strong team, is the Unknown. I think
Mm-hmm.
Deshamo's done a great job putting this team together, taking Thalfix and Jim Philos from Vote of No Confidence, or Vote of Some Confidence, sorry, last season.
Sure.
Magnificent and Chewy, both out of Europe. They're good friends, and I think they'll be really good in the 2 and 3. And then just Deshamo in the 1. I think that's a really solid team from top to bottom. So I
Yeah.
definitely have them down as a new team, as a strong team. We'll see how well they can work together, and but I expect them to be up near the top come season's end.
Mm-hmm.
For a sleeper team, I think I'm going to have to go with Hordy on main, Geranium's
Ooh.
team. They've used they actually used the exact cap 1850. They've got Mr. Python in the 1. I know he didn't have a great season last season, but I'm expecting him to bounce back this season. ABC's a 550 player in 2. He's another Aussie boy from Melbourne, and he finished 43 in September and 10 on ladder in October. So I'm
Nice.
expecting good things out of him in the 2. And then you've got Dr. BOMD, Jespine, and in the 3 and 4. I think between those 4, you can probably wrap up a lot of matches. And then the 5, bite-sized. I don't know much about bite-sized, but if they can pick up, say, a 50% win rate or near there. I didn't actually rate Hordy on main as making playoffs because I've got a few question marks there. There's a couple of untested players. But I think as a sleeper team, I think that's my team.
Nice. Okay. Um, those are some interesting choices. Any final thoughts on Hero before we move on to Legacy? Take that as
I
a
just
no. Oh, go
I'll
ahead.
just quickly. I'll just say I think we touched on it a bit in the podcast, but I think just about every team, as it is usually with Hero, has got a chance of making playoffs. It's usually one of the closest series, and I'm expecting it to be like 3 weeks to go, and just about everyone can make it. So I think it's going to be the little things that really make a difference this season, and I'm looking forward. Not playing in the series, but I've got 2 teams in there. I'm trying to double my chances with Hero at APM this year, so I'm interested to see how it goes and who can make playoffs for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, just to add to that, I was when kind of reviewing it, I also felt like every team in purple is good. Like I don't know, like all the teams really are really solid. And I don't know everybody. Obviously, I don't know all the players, but it just seems like there's so many solid teams. You can make an argument for so many of them to be in the top four at the end of the season. So I do think it's going to be really close.
Now, I'll move us over to Legacy. And Legacy playoffs happened. We had a very hot Legacy season with red kind of dominating over all other colors. I'm going to ask Wild9 because I'm sure he's not biased at all here. Tell me a little bit about what was Legacy playoffs and the Legacy results last season.
Yeah, you mean Golden, right? Dominating over everyone.
I mean Golden. Was it Golden?
Yes.
I don't actually
It was
remember the
Golden.
exact
Yeah,
color.
3 out of 4, I think, of the gold
Yes.
teams were in the semifinals. And we had
Yeah.
3 conferences. We had red, silver, and gold. So yeah, so just you have it on screen, right? What happened in Legacy playoffs? Defias won, so we won. Not biased at all.
No,
Best new
no.
team was Golden Wisps, which we just talked about, making the jump to hero. The captain of that team, MPV, was the best captain. The rookie of the season was Dev, right? And the MVP is Nenji Boston.
Yeah, Neji won every single week he played, right? In Legacy.
Yeah, he was dragging AFG by the straps of his boots. Neji was dragging AFG to some glory. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 10-0. What an amazing season.
Yeah,
right?
With a game win rate of 75%, which is insane.
We do have a question from chat. There will not be games today. Today is just talking about what happened last season and preparing for games. There will be games starting on Thursday, I think. I believe so. Now, shall we take a look at the conferences? Or does anyone have anything to add about last season before we move into this season? Okay, so in terms of the conferences, let's start with Gold Conference. And I'll ask Corridon, can you tell me the teams that participated in Legacy Gold?
Yeah, so this season for Legacy Gold, season 20.
Or who are participating, not who participated.
I was going to say, am I going back? I got to get something up here. No, so who are coming from the Gold season, Gold series. It's going to be Agent P's Golden Showers. You've got Clownstone Academy, DeStubbs, Defias is back, Fish Dot, Illidan's Death Knights, Not Justin, Pod People, and that is your Golden Conference.
Awesome. Bone Masher, do you want to tell us who's in Silver Conference?
Yep. So Silver Conference for the coming season. Again, there it is. We've got All Points Matter, APM, Dirty Mike and the Boys, Golden Wisps, oddly not in gold. Hearthstone Academy is back. Hot Zilfs, Standard THL Degenerates, The Cooler, and The Cult.
And last but not least, Wild9, do you want to tell us who's in the Red Conference?
Sure. So we have Chaos Theory, Dad Legend, I've 2L, Everyone's a Winner, F2L White, Just Win, MUOH, which is Miami University, Ohio, Hearthstone, and Sarah Knight Pain Gang.
Okay, some new teams here. I want to ask you all first, let's start with general impressions before we talk specifically about strong and sleeper teams. How are you feeling? There are some returning teams, there are some new. I'll start with you, Wild9. How do you see this Legacy season compared to previous one?
I am biased, but I think that Gold Conference is pretty strong again. I know that's not. I don't know if it's going to be as dominant, so to speak. But it just feels. I mean, there's a lot of good teams, obviously. But right away, like people, Agent Peas team and Clownstone, both really great teams. Golden Wisps, again, a lot of good teams just across the board. It's fun or interesting, I guess, to have 24 again. Like we had 24 last season. It was the first time in a while, I think, right? That we've had so many
I
teams.
think it's the first time.
Yeah, I think it's the first time. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to have that again and get some cross conference play here and there as well, right? So
Yeah. Bone Masher, anything you want to add about general impressions before we hop into strongest and sleeper teams?
Yeah, I think if the strong teams are split across each of the conferences, I think maybe Red Conference has got like 5 or 6 really good teams that are going to be fighting out for those 4 spots. Maybe in Gold Conference it looks to be a little bit more defined. But I think Red's going to be the most competitive. Like each conference gets one team guaranteed to have the bye in the first round of playoffs, and I think
Sure.
in Red particularly, that's very much up for grabs at the moment.
Nice. It's always interesting when that happens, when we have very competitive conferences. Corin, any thoughts on just general structure of Legacy?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. We saw, we see new teams, but we're also seeing some older teams coming through again, right? You've got your
Yeah.
always tenured Dirty Mike and the boys back, the Cult's back. We saw the Unknown back in Hero. We're kind of off that, but you see the Miami, Ohio guys coming together, making a team and kind of creating that. Just Wins coming back and keeping the Justin going strong. Even Hot Zealous STDs, these are synonymous with older school, and it's awesome to see a lot of people coming back. Serenite Pain Gang came back last season. Darkseid took the BGH, and now he's sitting down in the 4. So it's exciting to see a lot of new teams. It's exciting to see older teams and older players coming back.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a super exciting Legacy season. Corin, tell me, what is your strong and sleeper team picks here for Legacy, given that this is such a crazy season?
It's so difficult just because there's so many teams right now, like across the board. I mean, to pick the strongest and to pick the sleeper. I mean, I know I have to, but I don't want to.
That's fair. I wouldn't want to either. That's why I just asked the questions.
No, for sure. I definitely see the Miami, Ohio Hearthstone as being a extremely strong team. NJO did it very well in multiple series. Him captaining that team. Mojo was insane for Legacy last season as well. I believe it was Legacy. Regardless, Mojo is a very good player. Still sitting in the 5 seed with Trito in the 4. I think they're looking very good. As for a sleeper team, I'm really excited to see Serenite Pain Gang. They picked up a few players. Darkseid slid down to the 4. They've got some top 1 and 2 seeds that are gonna hopefully secure their spots, and you don't have to see anything too crazy early on in the season. I think that's a great sleeper team there. I think Darkseid captain's a really good team, and I'm excited to see what they can do. Anything can happen, right? Even with their PR being where it is, I think they've got the chance to at least make a playoff berth, to make a push for it.
I will call on Bone Masher. What are your thoughts on a strong and a sleeper team for Legacy here?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to pick another Geranium battle team here. Agent P's Golden Showers. They knocked us out of finals last season, even though we won 3-2. Let's not discuss that though. Yeah, they're really strong. Picking up Geranium's out. Pace is coming in the 4 seed. Pace is like top 50 on ladder. Like,
Fair.
he's busted in the 4. He's been doing a lot of work. Predominantly played wild before, but I know he's doing a lot of work in standard. I think that pickup in particular, they're going to be just as strong this season. So yeah, I'd have them as one of my strongest teams for sure. As for as a sleeper team, I'm really glad to see Hearthstone Academy come back. I think I'm glad to see Sage around. I think he's put together a pretty good team. Some of these guys didn't have the best of seasons last season. I know Ron and the Big Ted really struggled. and like Charap and Schubacher were in APM last season. Schubacher had a good season. Charap didn't have the best one. So I think if these guys can turn their seasons around, have a better season with the meta, I think they're going to be a tough team to deal with in Silver Conference.
Mm-hmm. Wild 9, any teams you think are strong in Sleeper that you want to bring our attention to?
Yeah, sure. I think the strong team that I can highlight here is probably F2L. Um, I think that they've got a really strong team having the Bruto in the 1 seed, Magnificent in the 2 seed, like having the
Yeah.
double 550s again, and also Bruto's, an amazing player, also another top 10 player.
Yes.
Yeah, having Y the Hunter, Judo Chop in the 5. I just feel like their whole team is just strong, like the first 3 especially, but even, 4 and 5 seeds here. So I kind of expect that they'll do really well and be very competitive, Bone Masher was kind of saying though, like they are in the red conference, which I do think, it's going to be competitive at the top. So we'll see how it
Mm-hmm.
pans out. But I do think they're one of the strongest teams for sure to watch out for.
Sure.
And then I guess as a sleeper, again, I don't know how we're defining, but I am interested in seeing how the Colts kind of pans out. They're definitely a team
Sure.
that is interesting to me. Hickett being in the 3 seed there, who's a great player. You just, I mean, it's just nice to see like T Stew in the 1. Like, it's just a good team all around that they've been around for a while too, and so I just think that they have a lot of potential too, and in that Silver Conference.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I would have picked a sleeper team that I don't think anyone said, which it's been a sleeper team for like 4 or 5 seasons because everyone thinks for a while everyone thought they were going to do well and they never did, and now it's like, what do we even say anymore? But I think Chaos Theory at some point is going to explode. That team just has to be good because they're all good seeds. I don't know. It always feels weird to me that Chaos Theory is getting better but never there, and it's just crazy.
I mean, they got rid of Ron Mexico, so they got to win, right?
Oh yeah,
That's how it works. You get rid of Ron, and they're gonna win. They're gonna take the ship, and then Ron's gonna be 1 season too short. And
that's
dang,
true.
that's how it's gonna work out. That's the storyline.
I
Um,
actually had Chaos Theory down as my other team in case somebody had said Hearthstone Academy. I think you're right. I think they're due for a good season. They always seem to just miss. I think they had a match for it to make playoffs last season and just didn't make it. So I'd like to see them make it this year.
mhm. Before we go into pro, I'm going to bring us back to the main screen because this is the prime time to talk about subbing. Just a reminder for everyone, you can sub to THL. It helps us with the costs of server, of content, of events like Maniac Mondays, which gave prize pack awards for the winners, or for other events that Sharmo, Donde, or anyone else might be planning. There's a lot going on with maintaining servers and with preparing everything, so subs are much appreciated. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can sub for free with Twitch Prime. Ron does this much better than I do, and someday I'll become okay at this, but I believe this is all I had to say about subbing.
Points across. That I like it. Crisp and to the point, man.
Right? One day I'll get there. It's just the fast speech is not for me. I don't think I could ever do that fast. But I'll challenge some of the people who are here around some weeks. So, any final comments on Legacy after this quick break before we hop into Pro Series? Okay, moving on to Pro. Bone Masher, do you want to tell us what were the awards for Pro Series last season and the final matches?
Yes, Pro Series. I think we all remember that Black Conference defeated Pink Conference in the first week, and then it came down to For the Clowns versus No Pros here, and For the Clowns got it done. They were our championship team. Best new team was the 5 boxing wizards, Jump Quickly, who topped Pink Conference. Best captain, Heat Shock. Rookie of the season was Total Orange. I think I donated to Total Orange during the season. MVP was Donkey. I think he went undefeated until playoffs, and yeah, for the Clowns, well deserved champions.
Yeah, that was just a crazy run by for the Clowns, and all around, it was such a competitive season. I'll ask Wild9 here. What were your thoughts? I know you did a great job in Pro last season, so I want to ask you, what were your thoughts on Pro season 7 before we hop on to season 8?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some really good teams. I'm looking forward to this next season too, just because there's definitely some holdover, but there's also a few new teams and certainly some big names that are coming into the pro league here. So, but yeah, last season I thought like the conference split was a little bit interesting, maybe also similar to this season. um,
Sure,
so it'll be it's always interesting, I think, where you have that too, just because you never know who can be competitive, right? And then it's Hearthstone,
sure.
so anyone can be anyone in any given day, so to speak. And especially in this format where you're week to week and you're submitting open lists, so if you just run into the counter, right? There's a lot of mind games, so I think that keeps it interesting, I think, in this league.
Yeah, I agree. Corridon, any thoughts on season 7 of Pro before we hop into season 8?
No, not too much. I didn't do too much for pro. I wasn't playing in it, so I just mostly followed for the playoffs and the top of it. But I mean, looking between season 7 and 8, it seems like a lot of the teams are just kind of running it back. And if anything, it got the competition got a whole lot harder.
I would probably agree with that. Now, why don't you tell us about the teams that are going to be in Black Conference for Pro Season 8?
Yeah, so Black Conference this season is going to be starting up at the top. Avenging Prophet Morab, Clowns Reloaded, Everyone's a Winner, F2L, Faction, Mancrick's Multiple Wives, Mr. Smite Side, Sheepies, and Taggers.
And Wild9, do you want to tell us who's going to be on the Pink Conference?
Sure. So we got Brushy Tuna, EU greater than NA, For the Boys, Make Love Not Warcraft, No Pros Here and No Pros Here, Mom Locked and Loaded, Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich, and Sagoy.
Huh. Interesting. I think this is going to be a really crazy season. There's so many good teams here. I'll start with Bone Masher this time. Bone Masher, tell me first your general feelings about Black and Pink Conference, and then your choice for strong and for sleeper teams.
Yeah, I doing the podcast, I'd gone through and rated where I thought the strength in the teams were before we had the conference split, and I liked a lot of the teams that are now in the Pink Conference. So I think there's a lot of good teams in there. 6 of the teams that made playoffs last season are in that conference, so I think that's going to be highly competitive for their top 4 over there. We see a few. We actually see a lot of good top ladder players coming in, and a few GMs. And I think it's good to see that the GMs are split. Mind you, 3 of them are in the same team.
Yeah.
So, did you want a strong team and a
Sure.
and did you want that now? Sure. Yeah. So strong team. I have to go with the 3 GM team. I think anytime you've got 3 GMs in the same team, it's going to be a pretty strong team. Mind you, there are a lot of players that could be GMs that are playing in this series that aren't. So, yeah. So Clowns Reloaded. As I touched on before, I think Pink Conference is rather top heavy. I think Black Conference isn't as strong. I still think it's going to be very competitive, but I think Clowns Reloaded with the 3 GMs they're going to rule that conference. They'll be right up the top. They're almost locked in at making playoffs. as long as they perform. But I'm pretty confident they're going to make it. As for a sleeper team, I'm going to stick with Black Conference again because I think it's the top four is a bit open there, and I'm going to go with Taggers. Like APM last season did it where we brought a heap of wild players in. We almost made playoffs. We got cleaned up in the last week. But you look at the guys that Taggers are bringing in. They've got Lasagna, they've got Rice Bowl, they've got Battle Tagger, Otters, and Seth. These are all very well-known wild players. Lasagna, Rice Bowl, and Tagger are all in the top 100 on the standard ladder. They've been putting in the work, and they're very, very good players. So I expect them to do very well in Pro this season, and I expect them to be in the top four. And then come playoffs, you just don't know. I think they could be a really good, strong sleeper team.
Mm-hmm. Corridon, do you want to tell me what you are thinking in terms of general Pro Series? And I know you were playing. What are some teams that you think are strong and that are sleeper teams here?
Man, I had to panic there because Bone Masher literally took my two teams. No word of a lie. I took exactly what I was going to say, but I'm a professional. I got backup.
Nice.
For one of my strongest teams, I think it leads towards, how the series are split, how everyone's, Black might be the better conference. I think Brushy Tuna is looking extremely good. Had a fantastic season for themselves last time. Picked up McBannerface, who's a GM. I mean, all these people playing are one seed. They all in their own right are just insane at the game. I think Brushy Tuna in the pink conference right now just looks pretty dominant. That's definitely one of my stronger teams right now. And to not panic pick, but they were my second sleeper team. Not only because I am in love with their name, but I'm going to take Mr. Smite side. I think Donde
Sure.
being picking up the captaincy. You've got a lot of repeat customers here. Vino has been across the board, very good across series. Interval has been around forever. Clark Hellscream's coming back, and we know Clark has been pouring himself into Hearthstone on Twitter, doing mountain qualifiers, getting into the last Masters Tour. So I think that team's going to look very good. Even Booze, coming back and playing in, I think 3, maybe even 4. I'm not sure about Wild, but at least 3 of the series. So, Booze is coming back in full force. I really think Mr. Smite side, has my number 1 for best name, and definitely a sleeper team for me.
Nice. Well, Nine, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about Pro Season 8? Any thoughts on strong and sleeper teams as well?
Yeah, I think might as well round it out here and talk about Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich as one of the strong teams. They also have a GM, so we got to get all the teams that have the Grandmasters. But they also
Fair.
build with these one seeds, great overall. All 5 of them, very good players. So I fully expect them, even in a very stacked competitive conference, to do very, very well. And I think they should make playoffs and make it out of there. In terms of picking a sleeper team, like I also kind of share a similar thought process about since there are going to be playoff teams that come from Black Conference, any one of them can make some noise. That being said, however, I guess I wanted to still highlight a pink conference team that doesn't have a GM, but I still think we'll do really well. Why am I missing? EU greater than NA. I actually think that they also have a very solid team, top to bottom. Bruto, Why the Hunter, Always Lethal in particular, stand out to me as names that I know that are always very solid and competitive in pro.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they also make it out of a very, very, very competitive pink conference. And then, again, who knows what happens, right? Once you get into that playoff. So
That's true. This is just such a crazy. Pro Series gets more stacked every season, and I feel like this is the most cliche thing I can actually say. But it's also true. It just feels like every season it's like, wait, is this team even legal? Like, how? Because there's no PR, really things happen that just no one sees them coming, and there's no way to stop anything like that. So I'm very excited to see the chaos unfold And I'm excited to see the return of the THL commissioner playing in Pro Series, which he's
Yes, yeah.
taken a break from for a while, and I want to see Hatch back in Pro. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize what the Pro Series really brings to the table. I think it's your best prep for everything. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a mountain or a qualifier grinder, it's your best way to practice new decks. There's really nothing on the line for. I mean, you'd always like to do well, you always like to win, but that's why I think you see so many serious um, people coming through. That's why you see so many GMs. There was always the talk of Monsanto and Language Hacker coming through as subs throughout the season for a game or two, but now you're seeing legitimate GMs coming through, sticking on a team at the beginning. Now, things happen during the series or during the season. We'll see if they have the time to stick around, but I think it just goes to show how much the THL has grown, and it goes to show that the Pro Series is no joke.
Mm-hmm. Any final comments anyone would like to say about Pro before we move back to the main screen?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say I think that Pro is definitely a lot stronger. I think there's at least 10 new players that are top 200 ladder players. At least 10.
Yeah.
Just like Dabs, Berserk, Lasagna, Battle Tagger, Keller's Luna's back, Justin, ABC, Downtown, bit by bit. I'm sure I've missed a few people, but Bruto, J Rich, like it's just insane. Like I played pro for the first time last season. I thought the competition was a bit strong. That was nothing. Like this is going to be the best season
Yeah.
of pro that THL has had.
Yeah. All right. Bringing us back to the main screen for final thoughts. And first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I had so much fun. I know this is a shorter show than usual since we don't actually have matches to recap yet. And we will avoid speculating on matches this week because that is tomorrow's job. You can catch Fish and his team doing that on Tavern Talk. But we will here just talk about some thoughts. So my checkout question, while I thank you all for being here, is what would you really like to see from this THL season? Is there something special that you want to see? Is there a player you want to catch up? What's the hidden thing that we might not be seeing that you're really curious for? And I'm going to start with Wild9. What would you say is something you really want to see this season? And thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing that came to mind, I guess, was kind of another crazy crossover run. I
Sure.
think it was cool to see Agent PW play so well across multiple series. I think it'd be cool to see that happen again in a context that feels like even more competitive right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, because in the Pro Series in particular, because you're going to be faced up against all these incredible players, it's like crazy if people can still be competitive across 4 different series or something like that. I think that'd be very, very impressive in this season in particular.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And thank you, Wild9, one more time for joining us tonight. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of you this season, so very glad to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bone Master, thank you one more time for being here tonight. What is something you are looking forward to seeing this season?
Yeah, I think that all the series are going to be highly competitive. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see a lot of games played on stream.
Yes.
I'd like to see our Friday, Saturday, Sunday matches, our stream times packed with 2 or even 3 matches. I know last season especially we had some time slots filled up with battlegrounds. We're not going to have that this season
No?
unless we have an event on. So I'd encourage everybody, if you want to play on stream or if you'd love to give it a try, speak to your captain, speak to somebody on the board or someone that's involved in the shows, and we'll be able to set you up with the people that you need to get on stream, because one of the best things about THL is anybody can play on stream with casters, and it's just really fun and enjoyable. I
Yeah.
definitely recommend everybody get on board. I'd love to see all of our shows packed out this season.
I couldn't have said it better, and I've said it for 3 seasons, much worse, I believe. But yeah, I think it's really important. Play on stream. You can DM me. You can DM Saku. You can DM Fish. DM Wild9. We're always going to look for matches. Um, it's always fun to play on stream, even when you lose. Trust me, I've lost many times on stream. It's fine. It happens, and you'll get people telling you things that you'll learn. You can watch the replay. You can just talk to them afterwards. Get general insights. It's a great place to learn what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and I promise that no caster in THL is going to be attacking you or anything like that. We want to provide always a learning/fun atmosphere. That's always our goal. Um, Last but not least, Corden, I want to thank you one more time for joining me tonight. Always a blast having you in Hearthcenter. Tell me, what would be your thing you're looking forward to seeing this season?
I mean, games, right? Hearthstone. I'm excited to see what what the new expansion has brought. This first week, I think, is going to be absolutely crazy. I'm interested to see where the meta is going to settle. What nerfs after Worlds might be brought. There's always the first 2-3 weeks of dominancy of, usually one class. A nerf hits and then you never see it again. So I'm wondering to see who's the lucky winner, if it's going to be Shaman again, or, maybe Warlock will get smacked once more. It's going to be fantastic. I think we've got some of the best quality Hearthstone coming at you. For this season, especially, Hero getting into 2 series, Pro as stacked as ever, and Legacy back to 24 teams. I mean, it's gonna be insane.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think we have a really, really crazy season incoming. We're going to see some decks. We are going to see Garrote, but we're going to see a lot of new decks as well. I'm curious what people are playing because it seems like we definitely have not found out everything the new cards can do yet, and I want to see what's going to happen there. That said, I believe that is it for us tonight. I'm going to thank a final time Bone Master, Well9, and Corden for joining me. It's been great having you. I think we had a great show reviewing everything that's about to happen. If you want predictions on some of the matches this weekend, more in-depth predictions than what we did, you can see it tomorrow with Fish and his squad. There will be matches Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can talk to us to play on stream. Hearthcenter is coming back next Tuesday, and we are going to bring you the first matches. So we will have 1 week of matches to recap. That being said, don't forget to submit tomorrow. It is a DQ. There's no rollover. Like old times, there's no rollover in week 1. So please don't forget to submit. And I think that is it. We will see you all later. Have a good night, everyone.